Hello, this is Sahira. I am getting near the end of my certification process, and I have decided to do some practice videos before I submit my certification video for my yoga teacher training. So, to start, my background in yoga is that I have been doing yoga for approximately 47 years of my life since I was a little girl. And that started because I watched an exercise program on TV, and she happened to present yoga one day, and I just fell in love. And I asked my mom for a yoga book, and thankfully she gave me one. And I have been doing yoga ever since then, and it's just grown and grown over time. Um, in terms of my relationship with my body, I also have a considerable amount of dance training where I learned about alignment and all of those things that come into play with the physical aspect of yoga. I went to I went to college for dance at the Boston Conservatory. Um, my yoga education grew considerably from that first little beginning book that my mom gave me. When I was pregnant, I asked my doctor if I could continue doing yoga during my pregnancy, and my doctor wisely said the best person to ask is a yoga teacher. Well, I didn't have a yoga teacher, nor could I afford one, but I went to a yoga school and I perused the books in their bookstore, and I got this wonderful book by Gita Iyengar called Yoga, a Gem for Women, and it has a lot of good information about what to do when in terms of pregnancy and postpartum, anything pertaining to women. Lots of good information in that book. And once I started working with that book, I never really stopped. um, I have taken in-person classes at Kripalu Yoga Center near where I live in Massachusetts. And now I'm doing my yoga teacher training, which I have been doing for approximately a year. I do have a serious back injury that first started manifesting not too long after I gave birth, and possibly giving birth might be the source of this. I have heard that sometimes women have pelvic issues after birth because the bones become soft and malleable and they separate to let the baby out, and sometimes after birth the bones don't come together properly. Maybe that's what happened to me, or maybe there's a different cause. I did injure my iliopsoas very badly, also shortly after childbirth, and I consider the possibility that because it was so extremely painful that I was favoring that leg. The iliopsoas has a lot to do with the pelvis, and maybe it created a chronic imbalance. Or maybe it's something to do with aging, arthritis. I don't know, but it's chronic, and although things are considerably better now than they were previously, because previously I had chronic lower back spasms that were extremely painful and extremely debilitating. But since telecommuting and my new chiropractor, things have improved. All I can say is things have improved, but things are not perfect. Things are not like how it was when I was younger, and I just knew I could count on my body and everything was fluid. Now I can do things, but I have to do things very carefully. Uh, so that's the story on that. I would like to start. I am doing practice videos so I can get used to doing them, so that I can get used to talking, being on camera, working with my equipment, gaining confidence, and getting used to explaining things that I am doing, because my own personal practice is very slow and deep and quiet. I'm the only one here. I'm not explaining anything. So I have to get used to that aspect. My segment today will be focusing on the beginning of my planned class and the end of my planned class. I want to do the mantra that I will do in the beginning and the pranayama that I will do towards the end and the closing mantra. That's what I want to present today. And I want to do a few more practice videos taking different parts of the class, taking the warm up and standing postures, taking the warm up and sitting postures, taking the warm up and the cool down supine postures, and then eventually put it all together. And possibly I might get brave and confident at some point and just feel, okay, I'll just submit my video. But nevertheless, I will still develop. Even if I submit my certification video before this process is over, I will still grow this gradually so that I can really take time with explanations of things without feeling any kind of time pressure to try and squeeze everything into an hour and a half. So the first mantra I want to do, the words are Om Asato Ma Sat Gamaya. These words mean from ignorance lead me to truth. And the next line is Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya. These words mean from darkness lead me to light. And the next line is Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya, from death lead me to immortality. And finally, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om is like a seed syllable. It invokes the divine presence that is everywhere. It's like a universal sound. It's in sound science, these sounds affect our bodies and our spirits in different ways, and they land in our bodies. And the sound Om, it contains Ah and O and and they all awaken different parts of us. So just taking a moment to settle into the breath before singing. Om Asato Ma Sat Gamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sat Gamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just breathing in the sound. And feel how you feel. And the pranayama that I would like to do is called Nadi Sodhana Pranayama. It's alternate nostril breathing. But before we begin, it's good to know, if you haven't done yoga before, that all the basis of all the different kinds of yoga breathing techniques is rooted in taking a deep and conscious breath that arises from the belly and the very bottom of the lungs to the middle of the lungs and all the way up. Because when we're breathing in our everyday lives, we are not used to breathing consciously and utilizing the full capacity of our lungs. There's a physical aspect of getting more oxygen literally into the body, and there's a mindfulness and spiritual aspect of all the concentration goes to that one place, which is the breath. And over time, it brings about, in my experience, greater calmness and peace. And the breath starts to slow down, and your being starts to relax. And also, I feel more connected with everything, and I feel that there is literal spiritual love in the air that I am breathing, and I am breathing in that love, receiving it, and then giving it. I find that the Nadi Sodhana Pranayama practice is very, very calming. And I have a tendency towards anxiety. And when I do this particular breath practice, it helps me be more peaceful. So the hand position that I use is 2 fingers on the forehead and the last two fingers go over the left nostril and the right thumb goes over the right nostril. So to begin with, instead of moving from one side to the other, we're just doing one side at a time. And your breath ideally should be the same amount of time on the in-breath as the out-breath, so you'll be counting it. And how many counts it is really depends on what is comfortable for you. I like to do 10 counts in and 10 counts out because it feels good to me to have a nice deep breath. But if trying to do 10 counts feels like you're stressing out and you can't breathe and your heart is racing, then that's too long of a breath for you, and you might want to do 5 counts or 6. Whatever is good for you, and you'll know over time. And then it might change over time. You might start with 5 and end up with 10. I will be doing 10. We'll be doing 5 times on the right side in and out, and then 5 times on the left side in and out. So starting in the right side, blocking the left nostril with the last 2 fingers. And now blocking the right nostril with your thumb and opening up the left nostril, breathing in and out. Just take a pause and breathe normally and notice how you feel. Drink in the peace. And now we will develop this further and breathe in through the right side, blocking the left side, and then out through the left side, blocking the right side, and then in through the left side, and then out through the right side. That's one cycle, and we'll do that 5 times. And again, the count should be the same on the in-breath and the out-breath. The in-breath and the out-breath. Okay, and again, just pause and breathe normally and notice how you feel. Notice the difference between before pranayama and after pranayama. So I have found that over time of practicing meditation and breathing in various traditions, that my breath has become soft and deep and long. But the secret to that is that you never want to force, because then that brings tension and it doesn't work. It happens somehow naturally on its own, just with the gentle attention to the breath. So now the next one that I'm going to do is called Ujjayi Pranayama. And it is not alternate nostril breathing. It is breathing through both nostrils and holding at the top of the breath for 3 to 5 counts. And it also has a soft sound. And again, you never want to force. The sound comes from the back of the throat, but you don't want to force and introduce tension to the back of the throat. So the way that I think of it is like a sigh. That same similar feeling in the throat is what we are doing, except with our mouth closed. So again, on the exhale with the mouth closed, and now, similarly, if you can keep that same feeling when you inhale and have a similar sound without too much tension. And if you don't get it right away and it's quiet on the in-breath and sound on the out-breath, that's okay. Work with where you are in a relaxed way and just hold the gentle intention and keep practicing, and over time you'll get it. So let's try an in-breath with that feeling of a sigh. And an out-breath. And now let's try in, hold, and out, just with the feeling of a sigh, nice and relaxed. Okay, so let's take a releasing exhale and then start doing this for maybe 3 minutes. Okay, beautiful. And now, again, as before, just sit and breathe and feel and notice how you feel. And now I'd like to close with another chant. The words are Om Lokah Samastah Sukhino Bhavantu. And it is invoking happiness for all beings, and it is invoking divine unity. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to that. And again, ending Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And then after I've repeated this 3 times, after we have repeated this 3 times, I like to close with an Om, bringing my arms up in a prayer mudra, but up. And then repeating Om Shanti Om 3 times, gradually bringing my hands to my heart, and then 3 Oms at the very end. You can hold your hands however you want for this prayer. If you are going through a difficult time and you feel the need to receive blessing, then be receptive and receive blessing from this prayer. If your cup is overflowing and you want to give blessing, then give blessing. And you can give blessing through your hands and through your voice and through your heart and through your eyes and through your face. You can hold your hands in whatever manner feels like blessing to you. If you want to hold your hands high and hold them like this, if you want to flip them, be like an empty cup of offering of blessing and hold them low, you can. If you want to hold them in prayer mudra, you can, whatever position you like. Lokah Samastah Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Lokah Samastah Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Lokah Samastah Sukhino Just sit, just breathe. Breathe and feel. Breathe and receive. Breathe and give. And now, if you'd like, I always, because of my lower back and pelvic issues, after sitting for a long time like that, I like to rotate. Um, ah, now you can see. So, I'm rotating my ribs around front, right, left, back, and right to ease the tension in my lower back and pelvis. About 4 times in one direction and then in the other direction. And again. And now the same thing, if you're sitting cross-legged, you'll want to reverse which leg is on top. And do the same thing 4 times to the left. 4 times to the right. 4 times to the left. And 4 times to the right. Thank you so much for listening and practicing and letting me practice. Have a wonderful day.